And this is Day 9 Daily number 438, where we learn to be a better gamer. As you can tell, I am extremely sick. My voice decided to swell up, so I have some big lumpy things that look like the brain bugs from Starship Troopers hanging out back there, so that's great. Pretty sure I'm running a fever, but I'm a man, and why would I ever put a thermometer in my mouth? To know? No, I just put my hand on my forehead, and I'm like, well, this is hot. I have a fever. I'm sick. However, the fact of the matter is, I just got up from a 90-minute nap, giving me enough energy to discuss the ever-important topic we have before us. My God, let me just note how low my voice is. I haven't really talked that much today, but I sound like I went through puberty too, man, where your voice drops even lower, and you grow hair in even more unsightly places, and which is weird, because I already have, like, way more than that than I need. Woo, baby, look at that. But don't worry. I promise I'll be nice and cherubic and sexy next daily. The topic of today's daily is the notion of a build order made simple. Build orders, I think, are one of the most commonly used phrases. People know that it's sort of a linchpin of strategy, and they want to have a good build. In terms of the evolution of strategy, the build order comes from the notion of timings being an important thing. Initially, when people learn StarCraft 2, or really any RTS, they think in terms of tactics. They think in terms of things, like, if I fungal growth Marines, and then they can't move, so then I hit them with Banelings. It's this 1-2 punch sort of thing. Or maybe you think, I'm going to get a Warp Prism and drop Dark Templar, and if he doesn't have detection, I'll win. It's these sort of conditional awesome things. Like, for instance, if you go fungal growth Baneling, and he just goes mech, suddenly your thing doesn't work properly. If you go for Dark Templar drop and he has missile turret at the back, you lose immediately because he just kills you because he can see your DT. And then, of course, the build order comes into play. The idea of, I don't take an expand in a general sense, I take my expand on 26 supply. In fact, almost always we see build orders referenced with this supply count up here. Or secondarily, they're viewed with this timer down here. And the idea is, there must be some way to optimally arrange all my buildings to get a huge, big, badass army. And then I can do all sorts of awesome things with it. That's the build order, the order in which you make your buildings, as dictated by the food or the time. I hate this idea. I hate how prevalently this is thrown into the community. The whole notion of this being a build order. Let me bring up what I call the wrong way. Here is the wrong way to do a build order. You'll see something like this that will be like 9 supply. No, actually, sorry. Wrong StarCraft. 10 supply. 12 barracks. And then 13 gas. And then it just sort of goes on, and you might do something like 16 factory, 17 supply depot. I'm literally just making stuff up, right? And then we go like 18 stim. Where did this? How can you stim without a tech lab? And it just goes on and on and on and on and on until you have something like 65, another expo. In fact, I would just be delighted if someone in chat went on teamliquid.net and did a search for build order. It never occurs to me that I should do this, but actually, hell, you know what? I'm going to do it right now. I am going to go search. So here's teamliquid.net. In case you've never been to teamliquid.net, you absolutely should go because it's really the heart of the StarCraft community. So if I look up something like build orders, or build order, there we go. TLO Zergling build order, right? We have things like this. And oh, look at that. The first thing I end up clicking on is this thing that I hate. I can't emphasize enough that I hate this. I hate this, okay? I hate this. Anyone have a reason why? Obviously, a lot of pros use lists like these. A lot of players have used lists like these to much success. Why would Day 9 hate them so much? And the answer is, it gives absolutely no sense of learning as to why it would work. Even more importantly, what if changes happen? I mean, where is this TLO build order? Like, let's take a look at it. All right, let's see. We're droning up. We do a hatch. And then we do, let's see, let's just go down here. Oh, wow, 32 metabolic boost. We're doing some spine crawlers. What if right here he attacks us with a lot of Marines and Hellions? What then? all of a sudden 39 food might be a while till we get there. Or, you know, what happens if we get into this huge fight? We don't even need this overlord. What if we have to make more zerglings than 13? What then? We end up in this awkward predicament where we can't deal with variety, which is the core of competitive play. So that is the problem that I have now posed to you, that we don't want to do this build order. However, I will note that these sorts of lists that I call instruction sets, those are the last step in build orders. That is the last thing that you want to get to, is this food instruction list. That is after you have perfected everything out, and we want to get there through a lot of practice and a lot of thinking. What we're going to do today is look at the notion of simplifying a build order by constructing what I call building groupings and slowly adding in more complexity over time. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this example from TSL Pult as he goes up against Acer's Nerchio. They recently played a game. And what we're going to end up doing is sort of alternating between right and wrong for a little bit at the start. And then we're going to start identifying these building groups. And I'm actually even going to hop in and play just against a computer to show the sort of steps that you would take. So here we go. Let me just note right off the bat. Let me shrink this and put it over to the left side so that way my overlay doesn't cover it up. Let's do the wrong way. Here is the wrong way to do things, right? Ooh, let's see. 10 depot. And then you just keep going and you say, okay, well, 12 barracks. All right, 12 racks. When are we building another supply? Generally around 14. You see a lot of players throw that down. No, wow, he ends up building that at a fairly early 16 command center. Wow, when is he? And he double gasses on 17. Okay, 17 gas times 2. This is already, we're getting to some pretty decent amount of complexity. When we build this supply depot, we're going to throw down a factory here. Oh gosh, and now I'm having to remember things like 3x Marines, then a reactor. I don't know what food, do I put the food of the Marine on? What if I even do something as simple as forget supply depots for a while? Really bad. So here is the way that we're going to be doing build orders. I'm going to call it building grouping, where what we're going to do is just list a whole bunch of buildings that happen at the same time. Not units. We don't want to begin with that. We want to begin with the buildings. We're going to see reactored Hellions come right out of TSL Pult. We're not going to write that down yet. Not yet at all. We're just going to write down building groupings as simply as we can. No units, no upgrades, no nothing. And you might ask, well, what constitutes a group? Literally, I'm going to say the hand-wavy thing of when things are built around the same time. But to create the basic framework, we're going to match when expansions occur and in between the expansions. So for instance, right here, we have expand, barracks, and factory, all kind of being built at the same time. Whoops, I meant to Alt-Tab, messed that one up. Barracks. I'll use the shorthand racks plus factory plus CC. Alright, cool. I could include this reactor, but I literally want to make this so simple. Bunkers, I'm not even going to include bunkers. I'm not going to include geysers. I'm just going to include the big buildings that build units. Nice. Okay, so we end up seeing this little swaparoo happen. And what's interesting is as I pause right here, I want to just note why the building groupings start to work out quite nicely. As we pull back to something like, let's go to 4 minutes. At 4 minutes, we almost have all the components to our early step 1. Racks, factory, command center. A full 2 minutes later, this is kind of all we still really have. This ends up happening quite naturally in StarCraft as you spend money to make the structure. And then, after that, excuse me, you spend money to make the structure, and then you have to spend money to build the units out of that structure, and then your economy catches up until you can build the next round of stuff. So hey, it looks like we're seeing another grouping of buildings. Alright, 2 more barracks. This happens at a fairly distinct moment in time. I'm not writing down gas timings. One thing I would just say, in your very simple building groupings, I would include upgraders, evolution chambers, forges, engineering bays, this sort of thing. So, okay. So 2 racks plus 2 eBays. Alright, anything else get built relatively nearby? Well, I mean, he's building some reactors. We can flesh this out in a little bit. And last but not least, it looks like he builds a starport. Now, to make this nice and simple, we've had, I'm going to call this an expo, just to be explicit. We haven't yet built another command center. And I like to just force the groupings to be a little bit tighter than that. I like to force it into something like factory plus starport plus expo. Again, what happens with the expo, what happens between taking expansions, and what happens with the expo again. Just creating these nice, clean building groups. You'll note that this starport and factory were a little bit far away from this command center. That's great if you noted that. We're not going to worry about that quite yet. We're just going to explore how this ends up feeling. And then what ends up happening next? Well, armory. We could do a little upgrader. Notice that the buildings that are producing, the barracks and the factory, they're not really changing for a long point of time. We've pretty much already dictated everything out, and aha! Here we finally have another follow-up of buildings. In that production tab, we see 2 barracks. Let's go ahead and start grouping those together. 2 barracks and a factory. 2 racks, factory. One thing I just want to note, factory for tanks. Doink. He didn't actually build another factory, but I should probably rephrase this as factory plus tech lab. The reason I'm doing, I'll even put parentheses around them. The reason that this is kind of a valuable thing to think about as a new building is, again, how did I identify all these structures? I identified them as the things that build units. This is suddenly becoming a thing, oops, this is suddenly becoming a thing that is getting tanks churned out of it as opposed to Hellions. So, yeah, I didn't crash. Sorry, I saw the screen freeze for a moment. So when we do that sort of swap off, that is pretty important. Or for instance, when we, if we were to take a starport and we were to, give it a tech lab to do Banshee production, there's nothing wrong with taking the starport after it's built to Banshees, and then landing it and building a reactor and including that as another thing that we're doing. So that might look like something like racks plus factory plus starport to tech lab, and then we would do something like expo plus 2 racks plus starport reactor. Because here's our Banshees, here's our reactors. Here is just another simple grouping. All right, cool. So we have this really, really clean, simple, nice, neat thing. Let's just go on a little bit more. Great barracks and some factories. We're getting the upgrades. This is wonderful. And I'm just going to kind of poke around. Are we really doing that much else? Well, we're getting kind of a late another barracks. Is there going to be an expand coming down soon? Wow, no, actually it just looks like we're just churning stuff out. Hey, there's another command center. But you know what? I will actually leave 3 bases as our simple enough grouping. How neat and easy and clean was that? We now have a pretty simple, clean way to get up. Let's see here. We have 1, 2 factories. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 barracks. Oops. Did I say that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. I haven't included this one on any list. Oh, look at that. Looks like Polt went Expo plus 3 racks. Nice. Expo right along with these 3 racks. I'm just grouping them together because they were built right around the same time. Wow, we have like all sorts of good stuff. As we can see, we're also getting our mega upgraders. We're on the route to 3-3 pretty early in the game, and we have the ability to produce a lot of stuff at once. We already have 60 Marines, 7 tanks, 4 medevacs. Cool. We have a build order, ladies and gents. Why is this so much better than what you could do if you had all those food instruction lists? Well, let's just go through the story. Okay, so we open up barracks and factory and expand. And at this point in the game, we start building some Hellions. Things are looking good. And then let's say we do 2 racks and some eBays. And right as we're getting our factory to start building tanks, we're getting our starport, and we're starting to expand, suddenly a whole bunch of units comes in. Suddenly we get attacked. Oh no, we get attacked, and we end up losing a ton of stuff. Well, oh, that stinks. I'm not, do I end up arranging my build order any differently? Well, not really. I just know that once I get this up and I keep building and I sort of get back on track, that soon enough I'm going to land my expansion, start getting 2 racks in another factory, and then after that I'm going to take an expo in a 3rd factory. Hell, what happens if right here we get roach rushed? Well, we're probably going to delay our 2 barracks and eBays because we're busy making units out of our racks in our factory. And then we just head right back on track. At all points in time, you have a clear next step that you want to be going to. Now here's something that I want you to do for next week. This is not the end of the show, don't worry. But what I would love it if you did for next week, let me go ahead and create a custom game here on Antigua Shipyard. Where is Antigua? Antigua. Excellent. There's the Blizzard. Funny to think that Antigua Shipyard from Blizzard is not actually on the top of the list. It's like 3rd down. Salt Antigua Shipyard by Turtles was, of course, the choice. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Terran. Cool. Here's something that I want you to do for next week. After you have this building grouping down, where you just have some simple, clean groupings, I want you to just play a series of games and let mistakes and questions come to you. So let me just return to game.
Go ahead.
This is a really important step to do. I don't know how many units I should be making. I don't know how many Hellions I should be making, but that's actually going to be okay. We're not actually going to worry too much about that quite yet. First, we just want to get a feel for making out of those buildings. I'm going to start to infuse a couple of mistakes or some oddities in there, but we're going to see it's going to end up pretty much okay. So, here's the first one that I'm going to say. We saw Rax Factory Expo last game. The expansion came up very swiftly, didn't it? Super ultra swiftly. Let me scroll my screen up here, and I hope I'm not going to be too jarring and popping around too much. Great. I'm going to re-rally this. We saw the Expo went down first. I don't want to worry about this ordering yet. I don't want to order these groups. I just want to know that this is about what I should get. So I'm actually going to go for a factory first. And we're just going to see what ends up happening. Because I'm drinking my mega illness fluid, I'll go ahead and just click here instead of using hotkeys. That way my left hand can just help me drink stuff.
Yep. SCV ready.
Oh, God. My head is like totally going to explode, right? Alright. So, okay, what's in my first building grouping? A racks, a factory, and an expansion. Cool, I got it. I can do that. Nice. Oh, whoa! I better build my refinery. Nice. Okay, cool. These little hiccups, especially if you are. Oh, what? I really only get 2 pauses when I'm playing with myself. Nice. When you are, I would say probably bronze to gold-ish, you're going to have a lot of just flubs in general with like, oh my god, I built my gas on 14 instead of 13. Oh, that was so dumb of me. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You don't want to get those specifics down pat. What you're looking is just to get the overall ordering correct. Alright, so I guess I'm going to keep building these. Alright, racks, factory, and expand. And even though I don't have it written down, I know that there is some kind of... There we go. I know that there's some kind of reactor that happens here at some point. And I should just probably be aware of that. I don't want to get too ultra-specific yet. You can use this sort of intuitive stuff, just to make sure your lists are a little more clean.
Go, go, go.
Well, I wonder... Okay, well, I'm going to get ready to build my starport. And I think a lot of you see the mistake that's going to be coming up here in a moment. And again, to emphasize, it is not...
Insufficient Vespene gas.
It is not me forgetting to expand. That is not the error that we are dealing with. And notice these units, ignore them. Focus on the buildings at first. Worry about the units later. You want to make sure your buildings are down pat right off the bat.
Insufficient Vespene gas.
Zoink. There's my barracks, getting my add-on.
SCV ready.
Alright, I'm actually going to try to do this quickly. Slide off and open it up. Anyone see the mistake that's probably coming down the road? Anyone see it?
SCV ready.
This is what I'm talking about with make mistakes come to you. Alright, I'm looking over. I'm seeing... Oops.
SCV ready.
Go back, you jerk. Alright, do-do-do-do-do. Landing it, and I remember he built a tech lab.
SCV ready.
Doink. That ends up getting landed. I'm going to throw down my orbital command. So, yes, one gas. Only one gas. Excellent. That is the mistake that I am making right now. But let's see what happens when we just follow along with this. Okay, 1 racks, 1 factory expo, 2 racks, 2 eBays. Okay, nice. Nice.
Game resumed.
I'll go ahead and screen hotkey these things because I'm awesome. Not even hotkeying units, don't really care too much about that. I'm just gonna, I guess, keep making Hellions.
Raise some hell.
I guess I'll build 2 more barracks.
Bad news.
Add-on complete.
And as I throw these things down, I'm kind of noticing that I'm getting a little tight for the cash, especially when these Hellions get done. I'm gonna be pretty broke. Oh,
Not
there's
enough
one.
minerals.
Can I actually squeeze out
Not
the
enough
other?
minerals.
Oh, it's a
Additional
little
supply.
bit tight. But, oh, now I don't have enough for an orbital command.
SCV ready.
I don't quite have enough. I'm getting a little bit behind on things.
What's going
And probably
on?
right around here, I'm going to notice that, oh crap, I got to build 2 engineering bays now. I am
Not enough
super, super broke.
Ready to raise
So this
some
is
hell.
something that will end up happening a lot when you first do a build order. And
Game
what I
paused.
want to note is that I'm playing alone against a computer. You should as well. When you see that game from TSL Polt and you think, wow, I want to play just like him. He's so good. You're going to end up playing. You're going to want to hop on the ladder and play immediately, but I strongly recommend you hop in to the gameplay itself, and what you're going to end up seeing is some really simple flubs where you realize, oh crap, I missed gas. Oh crap, this and that, and all that stuff. Now, I do have a little bit more to say, but we've just had a successful part 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk about how we end up extracting a little bit more advanced stuff from these build order things. So yeah, here we go. Here we go. I'm off. I am now off. I'll be back for part 1 in a moment.